Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my 15 top tips on things that will help you while you're at Disneyland Paris. Now, I have never been to Disney World or any other Disney park, unfortunately, so this is just for Disneyland Paris. So I've been to Disneyland Paris 4 times now. Like, I haven't been loads. Some people go every year, some people go every month, some people have been going every year since it opened. I've been 4 times, so no, it's not loads, but I do feel like I've learned a lot and I've done a lot of research before I've gone, and I do feel like I could share some tips that might help you guys while you're there. So hopefully these tips will cover like meet and greets, rides, food, just a lot of things, shopping. So hopefully it will help you with a range of things, and it was originally going to be top 10, but I counted 15. So let's get into my top 15 tips for Disneyland Paris. So make sure you've got a cup of tea at hand and a pen and paper, because you're going to want to write these down if you're on your way to Disneyland Paris. I haven't done them in an order. I literally just thought of things and wrote it down, so I'm going to read off my list. So my first tip is fast passes and single rider. Use them. A lot of people do not realise that fast passes are free. When I went to the park the second time, I think the fast passes were a thing. I don't know if they were a thing before that, I was too young to remember, but the second time I went to the park I do remember fast passes being a thing, and we thought that you had to pay for them, like when you go to Alton Towers and things like that. You don't have to pay for them. Fast passes are for everyone. So all you need is your entry tickets. These are mine from last week, my 25th anniversary ones, and my boyfriend's. We were really lucky and got a matching couple. How cute. So all you need is your entry ticket, and if you get a map, when you go into the park, get yourself a map. These are at the entrance, and if you look on the map, there is this Fastpass sign. It explains all about the fast passes, and then if you go into the main bit of the map, all of the rides that have Fastpass say next to them, and then just find them on the map. And then those are the rides that have Fastpass, and means that you can get through them quicker. So not all rides have Fastpass. It's normally just the bigger rides, like the roller coasters and the more popular kind of rides. So Buzz Lightyear has a Fastpass, Crush's Coaster in Studios Park has a Fastpass, and stuff like that. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you get your Fastpass early in the morning, because the fast passes run out by the middle of the day. So if you know you're going to want to go on Big Thunder or Buzz Lightyear later on, what you do is you get your ticket, go straight to the ride as soon as you can. There should be like little booths kind of things. I can't really explain them, like little machine things next to the entrance of the rides. They normally say Fastpass above them, or just ask a cast member. There's always a cast member at the beginning of every ride, and you put your ticket in, it gives you it back, and it gives you a Fastpass ticket, and then you come back at a later time and you have a half-an-hour slot, I believe, to come back, and then you only wait for like, I don't know, say it was like a 60-minute queue for the ride, you would only wait like 10-15 minutes, just off the top of my head. So make sure you use fast passes. Also single riders, things like Ratatouille and Crush's Coaster, use the single riders. If you have bairns, then I understand you're not going to want to leave you like young bairns, like don't do that. But if you can't split the group up, single rider, it's so much quicker, and you can just talk about the ride when you get off anyway, and you're going to be on the ride. It's not as if you're going to be communicating that much. So make sure if you can single rider, you do it, and if you can get a fast pass, do it. It will cut your queue time down by a lot, and I highly recommend it, especially for Ratatouille. We single rided Ratatouille the first time I went into like the Studios Park, and people were queuing for 45 minutes and we queued for not even 10 minutes, and my boyfriend got on the ride after me. So it's really not that much difference. You're not going to be waiting a long time for each other, but you are going to cut your queue time down. So use fast passes and use single rider. So there are a couple of places around the park that are going to be hidden that you want to go to. So I'll name a few, but make sure if you can, you do your research so that you don't miss out on them. This is the 4th time I've been to the park just last week, and I've only just found Maleficent. I know, she's hidden under the castle. So I'm going to tell you a couple of places that you want to go to that are hidden. So the first one is a photo opportunity. Everybody stands in front of the castle and there's loads of people in the background of your photo. If you go towards the castle, and then the main like drawbridge road kind of thing that goes up into the castle, to the left of it, if you go down there, there's like a circular area where nobody ever goes, and you can get amazing pictures with the castle just behind you. Seriously, and it's best for selfies as well, because you are right in front of the castle, so you can't get the whole castle in, but still, I did loads of pictures there for my vlog and for my lookbook and things, and nobody bothered us. So make sure you go right down to the left if you want to get pictures in front of the castle and nobody else around in your picture. Saying that, underneath the castle there's also like a little labyrinth of areas, including Maleficent. So make sure you go down left again, like past that like picture area, and Maleficent's cave is under there, and you can see Maleficent, and you can walk underneath the castle, like in front of it, so still outside. And you can also go around to the right hand side where there's a wishing well. So there's lots of like hidden little things under the castle that not many people know about, and it's normally quieter. Cinderella's carriage is another thing that I've only just seen for the first time. When you go through the castle on the right hand side, it looks like you can't go through. It looks like it's like a restaurant, which it is, but you can't go through into the seating area even if you're not in that restaurant, and it's pretty much always quiet. And I've forgotten the name of the restaurant, but it's basically where you meet the princesses for lunch. And through there is Cinderella's castle. Go through, get pictures, like it's always quiet. And you, did I just say Cinderella's castle? Cinderella's carriage. So make sure on the right hand side you go through, and you'll be able to see the carriage if you go around that side, and then just go through right up to it. You can, like, you don't need to be having a reservation at that restaurant. Go and look at her beautiful carriage. So Skull Island round in Adventureland is another place people don't really think to go because it is a very complicated place. You go into the cave, and we got lost in that cave system for about 20 minutes. It's a bit of a laugh. There's no queuing for it. Make sure you go and check out Skull Island. But other than like caves and the odd little bits of treasure and like skeletons and things, there's not much around there, but it is so cute if you've got a spare 20 minutes or if you want to get out the rain. Obviously people know about Skull Island, like the big skull cave. I'm calling it Skull Island, I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but you can go in them and all sorts, so make sure you go and check it out. One more cute little thing is the princesses. The princesses have a princess waltz. If you go where Cinderella's carriage is, just before the princess show, you can watch all of the princesses come out and walk past you and go down by the castle. And then if you stand back, like if you go through the castle on the right hand side and look at the princess stage, you can see all of the princesses lined up ready for the show. So yes, you'll miss the show unless you then walk around, but while they are waiting to go up onto the show, you can like see them all interacting with each other, and it's really funny because you can see like different princesses interacting with different princes. So if you've already seen the show, or you're not too fussed, or you're going to a later time or something like that, make sure you check out round the back of the castle because you can see the princesses like waiting to go up onto the show, like the stage, and it's just really cute. Okay, so tip number 3, if you are wanting to meet somebody like Ariel or Aurora, so the princesses in the Princess Pavilion, or Mickey at the Mickey Mouse building, go there first. You can't get a fast pass for those unless you have a priority pass, which I'm going to talk about later. So basically, if you are wanting to meet Mickey, you're going to be waiting a long time. So especially if you don't have early magic hours, so if you're not staying in an on-site hotel, make sure you go straight to those. And I mean straight to them, because you will be waiting. It's average 90 minutes for the Princess Pavilion. So we went 45 minutes after the park opened to like the general public, and it was already a 90-minute queue at the Princess Pavilion. We had a priority pass, so like I said, I'll get back onto that. But if you want to meet a princess or the Mickey Mouse in his Meet Mickey Mouse building, which I highly recommend you do, make sure you go straight there or you're gonna be queuing. Otherwise, just make sure you know you've got a queue on your hands. But it's worth it. And one last tip for meeting characters is if you want to meet Minnie or Donald or any of the characters out on Main Street, as soon as you go in, they're already going to have massive queues because of the people who had early magic hours. And if you don't have that, then, and if you want to meet Chip and Dale, like, you're going to have to queue for them. You're going to have to. But Chip and Dale tends to have the shortest queue. But if you do want to meet Chip and Dale, as soon as you go into the park, queue. And I mean, as soon as the park opens for general public, queue. So the third time I went to the park and I wanted to start meeting characters, I hadn't met characters on my previous 2 trips. I was younger and we just didn't get round to it. So we had a look in one shop to get me some ears, and then we went to Chip and Dale and the queue was already closed because they go round to Frontierland. So if you want a picture with Chip and Dale, especially now in the 25th anniversary costume, but just in general when they're there, in front of the castle, then go straight there. Don't go to the shops, don't go anywhere else. As soon as you go into the park, at opening, go straight to Chip and Dale because they shut it off because they're only there for like 10 more minutes after the park opened. So the second day when we were there, we went straight there, and even with a priority card, which we had, the first day when we were there, I was like, oh my god, I want to meet Chip and Dale, but we'd been queuing to get my priority pass, which was only 10 minutes, and then we went to Chip and Dale, and even with the priority pass, they said no. So if you want Chip and Dale in front of the castle and you don't have early magic hours, go straight there. Okay, so now I'll get onto this green pass priority card thing that I'm talking about. Okay, so this is tip number 4. This isn't going to apply to everyone. You have to have a medical reason to have this pass. So I have ME, which is chronic fatigue syndrome, so I got this pass. The pass does different things to different disabilities. So what they'll do is you have to have the right evidence to apply for one. I can't say what evidence you need because I don't know why you would need one. So all you have to do is go onto Disneyland Paris website, and if you want a pass, there is a leaflet on there which you can download, which will tell you what evidence to take, and it cuts down your queue time if you're able to get one. So I have chronic fatigue syndrome, so I can't stand for as long, I can't walk around as much, that sort of thing. So my pass allowed us to queue for a shorter amount of time, and on the quiet rides we actually pretty much just got straight on, which was amazing. And I did feel really guilty as well, because when I walk up to a ride and people have been queuing for 90 minutes and we get on in 20 or straight on, then people do look at you like, why have you walked straight onto this ride? Do not judge a book by its cover. People's disabilities aren't always available to see to the eye, and I felt like we definitely got stared at quite a lot. But by the end of it, when you're knackered, it's like, you know what, like, I have the pass for a reason, I'm gonna have to use it. So they'll obviously put on it the dates you're there from, and depending on your disability, you can have a different amount of people on your pass. So I have chronic fatigue syndrome, so I was allowed, I think, 4 people on my pass, but there was only like me and then my 3, like my boyfriend and my 2 friends. So we were allowed to use this pass, like all 4 of us, to get onto rides, but I was only allowed to take 1 person for the parade, like special standing area, and the illuminations special area. But I was actually allowed to take my 2 friends into the illuminations area as well later on, when it was like 5 minutes before the show and it was quite quiet and there was room for them, so she was gonna let them in, but then I couldn't find them anyway. It gets very busy in front of illuminations, so make sure if you have some form of disability that you check out this priority pass. Like, just looking at this, there's like loads of different ones. So if you have I have the box ticked for guest with difficulty standing and walking. There's also guest without hands, wheelchair guest, cognitive and mental disabilities, autism, blind. There's also the expectant mother as well. If you have a guide dog, and then it tells you how many people, and then they will, depending on what disability you have, they will stamp how many people you're allowed to take on an attraction with you and next to the parade with you. So I did see someone coming in illuminations, and I don't know what pass they had obviously, but they took 6 people into the illuminations like area for people with the pass, whereas I was only allowed to take 1. So it depends on your disability, but I highly recommend it because it cut down our ride time, and I think that was why this was the best trip I've ever had, because not that I haven't enjoyed the trips beforehand, but standing and queuing when you have chronic fatigue syndrome is horrible, and I was getting headaches and all sorts. Like, if you watch the vlogs from September, I wasn't very well on the first day. It didn't ruin it at all, but this time was so much better and I was nowhere near as tired just in general on the trip, and it was amazing. So check out the Disneyland Paris website and get yourself a priority card. So tip number 5 is PhotoPass. If you come off a ride where you've had your photo taken on the ride, such as Buzz Lightyear, or if you've met a character, so Mickey or Darth Vader, you will get a photo pass, and you will go straight to the thing and think, oh, I'll get this picture now. You don't have to get it now. You can keep this, and this lasts up to 15 days. So what I did is I looked at the picture on the first day, and I remembered how much it was going to be, and I thought, if I can afford it, I'll come back and get it. And I did. I went back and I got it on the second day. So don't worry if you think that's a lot of money for a picture, but I have to get it now. It's like, you don't. Keep a hold of your photo pass. It lasts 15 days and you can just get it at a later date, and not a lot of people know that, and people think they have to get it straight away. You don't. This is my Darth Vader Fastpass, which we never, PhotoPass, sorry, which we never used, so that's why I've still got it. But yeah, so you don't have to get your photo straight away off the PhotoPass rides. So this tip is about shopping. If you are lucky enough to have entry into the Studios park, the Studios shop, as soon as you go through the barrier, on the left is the best shop to shop in the whole of all the parks. No joke. So what happens is basically main street shops are always going to be busy because they are main street shops, especially when it gets later on in the day. Most people are coming back to the main bit of the park for illuminations or because they're leaving, and the main street part, like shops, get so unbelievably busy and it's not nice. So if you are able to go into studios, then I recommend that you go into that shop, not the shop when you're in the main like food first building of studios. I don't know what it's called. So once you come in, you scan yourself in, go past the statue of Mickey and Walter, or is that on the inside? I'm getting confused. And then you go in and there's loads of food places and it looks like you're kind of in Vegas, I want to say, and you're walking down the street and there's all the buildings and all the shops. So before that shop on the left, come back out and there's a shop on the left. As soon as you go into the park, you're still outside. That shop there is always way quieter than any other shop. So what we always do is we make sure we see what we want around the park the first day and the second kind of morning. Then we're going to studios, and then on the way out of studios, but the earlier the better, go into that shop, and it's so much quieter because then by the time you go back to the main park, or if you want to go to any other shop, it's going to be busy just because the main park's shops are busier. So we went to that studio shop the third time we went to Disneyland midday and it was dead. And then when we went last week, we went about 4 or 5 o'clock, possibly even 6 o'clock, and it was still way quieter than the shop in studios and the main street shops, which we also went round to. So if you want to do some shopping, it might not have everything, but it does have like a good range of stuff, and it has stuff that isn't in any other shop as well. It has a lot of really nice clothes which you normally only find out in the village. Make sure you check out that shop as soon as you go into studios. It's always quiet and it's a really nice shop. So the next tip is about eating. If you are going to be having your lunch in a quick service restaurant, so when you just go in and you go up and you order your food, like a burger or chips or a pizza and stuff like that, so not table service, then try and go a little bit before lunchtime, because we went in about 11:30, 11:15 to get some lunch and it was dead. And the day before, when we'd gone in to a very similar restaurant, it's like 45 minutes later, like an hour 15 later, it was so packed, the queue was out the door. So make sure if you can, go for lunch a little bit earlier and then just like get a snack later on before tea or something, or go for tea earlier and then just get a snack while you're waiting for the fireworks or something. Like, try and go for food earlier because it makes such a huge difference. And I'm really bad with the restaurant names, but the restaurant, when you come through Fantasyland, through the castle, the one on the left, not the Toad one, which is up in the corner next to Mickey Mouse, that one is so much busier than the one that is on the left as you go into Adventureland, and it's pretty much the same restaurant. So, what was it? I've forgotten the theming of it, but the restaurant before, so if you walk around past the princess shop, there's a restaurant on the left and it's all really nice outdoor seating and stuff, and that one is pretty much the same as the Toad restaurant next to Meet Mickey Mouse, and it's way quieter just in general. So try that restaurant rather than that restaurant. Sorry, I don't know the names. Otherwise, try and go for lunch earlier. I'm sorry if the position has ever so slightly changed, but the camera just died, so I had to put a new battery in, so hopefully it hasn't moved. Okay, so if you are after a princess figurine that's a little bit more expensive, so the one like that, a musical one, or a Cogsworth or a Lumiere, or that big Ariel there, if you're after something like that, go to the princess shop. And don't be disheartened if there isn't one out, or there's only one out of everything. The display ones, which I was confused by the first time I went into that shop, because a cast member told a girl who was stood next to me, because I had a hold of something and I was going to buy it, and then the cast member told a girl, because she said, oh, I want that too, and then the cast member said that's the last one. So I don't know if he just couldn't be bothered or what, but I went to the till at the back of that shop, the princess shop, through the castle, and a woman went out the back and got me another one, because there was some damage on the display one. They are display ones, there's plenty more of them out the back, so do not be afraid to ask for one of them and they will go and get you another one out the back. And when you do get one, make sure you check it over properly, because the first time I checked over the Aurora that she brought me out, and her crown was missing and she didn't notice. So don't be afraid, get it out of the box, have a good look at it, and then give it back, make sure it's all wrapped up properly. So yeah, I didn't know that. I thought, oh well, there's only one Cogsworth left, or there's only one Lumiere, and I was like, they're just display, and if there's any damage on them, there's more out the back. Don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to check. So for the parade and the illuminations, so if you have a priority pass, you don't really need to worry about this because there's somewhere specific for you to stand. But if you don't have a priority pass, which is most people, then make sure you get to the parade or illuminations a good hour before it starts. And that might seem like a long time, but if you, especially the parade, if you want to be at the front of the parade, get to the front of the parade, and do not be afraid to get a hold of the rope and stop people from pushing in front of you. I've seen that when people will be clearly have stood there for ages, making sure they get that front bit, and people push their kids in front of you. And yes, kids is one thing, because they're shorter than you, it's fine, but I've seen adults push in front of people as well because they stood with a kid, and it's like, no, that's not right. They were stood there an hour. You can't just push in front of someone because you have a bairn. I know bairns like can easily stand in front of you and not block the way. Adults should not push in front of adults. That's not fair. So make sure you get to the front of the parade like lines an hour before. They'll already be there, and if they're not, just have a look on the map to see where the parade's going to be. You'll get an idea for it. Stand next to a wall if you can, like where the parade first comes out, so that no one can push in front of you. I did that for the Stormtroopers thing over in studios. I stood next to this big thing so that nobody could like try and push in front of me. I was like up against it, like nope, nobody's getting in front of me. So make sure that you get there an hour early if you want to be right at the front. Same with illuminations, try and pick somewhere that has like a fence in front of you so that no one can get behind, like in front of you, or if you're right back, get like a fence behind you so you can like sit on it a bit and like be a bit more up. Just try and make sure you're in a position that if you want to be there and have a good space, that you get there at least an hour early, and make sure that you're in a position where you feel comfortable that no one's going to push in front of you or whatever. Another tip is that if you're not bothered about being at the front but you want a good space, if you go to Fantasyland, outside the pasta shop and the ice cream shop across the other side of the road, there are seats. People don't really use the seats when the parade's on, because if you sat on them, nobody can see in front of the people stood up. So what I did is I stood on the seats and I could see everything. No, I wasn't at the front and I didn't get any character interaction, but I could see the whole parade from a very good angle. So stand on those seats. There's no one behind you. You're not going to annoy anyone. It does mean you're not at the front, but you get a good view. And you can also do that for the illuminations. If you can get a seat and you know there's no one behind you, and like if you get one up against like a fence and then there's just a load of grass behind you, if you stand on that or even sit on the back of it, it's not really going to annoy anyone on like round the back, because they're so far away, like you won't really be in their view. So try and do things like that. Get a seat, stand on it, sit on it. Try not to bug anyone, obviously, by getting in the way, but you shouldn't bug anyone if you do things like that. A massive epic tip that I learned the last time that I went. So if you always see people with epic pictures in front of the castle on a night, or sat in the middle of Main Street and there's nobody else around, and you think, how did they get that? It's really, really easy. So when I went last September, as soon as the illuminations finish, everybody starts walking out the park, and it feels like a long time. Like, we kind of tried to go slow so that to see if other people would leave, but at the same time you're like, oh, but my last bus might leave. Or if you're in an associated hotel, the buses stay till 1:30. Like, they will go up till 1:30. I mean, check with your hotel. Don't like, you know, but check with your hotel. When we were there, the buses weren't like going to be stopping from Disneyland till 1:30 in the morning, and illuminations was at 11. So it wasn't even 12 o'clock. So what we did is we were right in front of the castle after illuminations, and we waited 5 minutes, and round the castle was dead. Take your pictures. The cast members are not going to ask you to leave. Yes, if you're taking an hour to take pictures, they're probably going to be trying to shut up. But remember that there's people still in the shops, there's people still leaving further towards the front. It's like that first like castle bit will empty. So here's my picture just as an example. I'm in front of the castle and there is nobody there to stop me. See? You can get that picture. It's really, really easy. It's easier than you think to get that picture. See, there's nobody around me, and that's the main like road just in front of the castle, and you would walk up to the castle there, and this part's dead straight away because people start going towards the main entrance. So So do not be afraid to wait, even just 5 minutes if you do have to catch a bus or whatever. That first bit of the castle will be dead before you know it. The cast members are not going to ask you to leave. I thought that the cast members would be ushering you out, or that I would like miss my bus. There was plenty of buses. We even went into World of Disney as well, so like we had plenty of time. I mean, obviously check with your hotel or the buses, like it depends on your circumstances, but we found it really easy. We took pictures right outside the castle. By the time the 4 of us had got all our pictures right in front of the castle and we started walking back to Main Street, Main Street was pretty much dead as well. So then we got some pictures in front of, like, right at the beginning of Main Street, so you can see Main Street and then the castle. So do that as well, and then leave, and then do what you gotta do. So don't worry about it. I always thought like, oh, they must have like a special pass, or I don't really know, but it's really easy to take pictures in front of the castle in Main Street when it's dead. Just wait 5 minutes, that's it. So another thing as well is that we kind of found that some things in the shops in our hotel were cheaper than the shops in the park. So my friend was after a keyring and she noticed that the keyring was, I think the keyring was like $7.99 in Disneyland, but only $6.99 in the hotel, and it was the exact same keyring. So that's what they noticed. I personally didn't notice it, but some things are going to be a little bit cheaper in a hotel. I do find that the hotel shops are better stocked. They have the princess autograph books in, which the Disneyland never seems to have, or at least it doesn't when I'm there. And if you can, get your ears, although there's a bigger selection of ears in the first shop you go into on the right once you've like gained entry into the park. But if you can, if you're after the classic ears or the pink ears, get them in your shop hotel, because it's going to be quieter in there. And if you're like waiting for a bus to pick you up from your hotel or whatever, just go in, get your autograph book, get your ears, and then when you get to the park you can just go on in. So I do find that the shops are better stocked in the hotel. It would seem that they're a little bit cheaper, and you're just going to be able to go straight into the park and do what you do, and you've already got your ears and autograph book ready, because you're going to be wandering around the Main Street shops longer looking for them because they're bigger. Another thing Beth found out, my friend, when we were there last week, is that there was some key rings in studios that were exactly the same as some key rings in Main Street shops in Disneyland, but the Disneyland ones had 25th on them or something like that, or Disneyland Paris they said on them, whereas the studios ones didn't. So sometimes it's good to have a little shop around before you actually buy things and go back to things if you can. One thing that a lot of people forget about, especially if you're in an associated hotel, is that when you buy things, I think the cutoff is 3 or 4 o'clock, but if you buy anything, I'm pretty sure it's anything, in a shop in Disneyland, you can send it back to your hotel so that you don't have to carry it around. That does mean that you can't collect it till the next day, and I did have a bit of a problem with that because the next day the shop didn't open till 8 and our bus was picking us up at 7:30. Now the cast member who was opening the shop happened to be there half an hour early, so I managed to get my stuff. But bear that in mind, if you're going to be sending stuff back to the hotel, you can't do it after 3 or 4 o'clock. Ask when you're in one of the shops, and you have to be able to pick it up the next day once the shop opens at your hotel. So send your stuff back to your hotel so you're not carrying it around if you're worried about things getting broken. But bear in mind the cut-offs. And that does include associated hotels, because I've stayed in associated hotels and they've always said that we can do it, and I have done it before as well for the B&B hotel. Now a lot of people say that you can't make a plan for Disneyland Paris, but we did, and we stuck to it and did more. So it's hard, and it's not going to be as clean cut as Disney World. Like you can use the fast passes for that. You can really plan Disney World, but we planned Disneyland Paris and it was fine. Like the first day we stuck to it and did more. The second day we didn't stick to it as much because we knew we'd done so much, and off the top of our heads we knew what we had left to do. So we did stick to it a bit on the second day, but not very much. But the first day we stuck to it, and we managed to stick to it, and we got so much done. So I'm going to do a video on how to plan Disneyland Paris. So if you can make a plan, like don't expect to 100% stick to it, and put like longer waiting times in and stuff for things, because you don't always know, you know, like if you're going to be able to get on something in a certain amount of time. Use the app, the Disneyland Paris app, and try and see what the queue times are like the day before you go and stuff, so you can get a general kind of view. But if you can, make a plan, or at least write down everything you want to try and fit in. And one of the best things you can do is like move around each land, rather than being at Buzz and then saying, oh, I'll go on Big Thunder and walking all the way over to like Frontierland, and then going, oh, I'll go on, I don't know, Dumbo, and then having to walk all the way back over to Fantasyland. Like try and plan it like land by land. One tip that I have is a bit random, but you can buy lanyards in the park, which is all well and good, but the little plastic bits are separate to the lanyards unless you're buying a pin one. So you can buy like a separate little plastic thing to put your tickets in, but they are quite expensive for a bit of plastic. Like, they don't come with most of the lanyards, so you buy yourself a lanyard, then you have to buy the little plastic thing. So I recommend that you get one of them before you go. I got this on eBay. I ordered it 4 weeks before my trip. It was 99 pence, and it's just like the plastic thing to fit my tickets in. These are like $5.99 in the parks, so on top of your lanyard, which you need one to put your tickets in. So make sure, if you can, if you know you're going to be getting a lanyard, get one of these before you go and then attach it to your lanyard when you get there, just to save yourself a bit of money, because they are expensive in the parks and not included with most lanyards. So my last tip number 15. This is something that I learned the third time I went, but I didn't use it myself. So water is available in fountains all around the park. And I had heard that it's different water to tap, like French water, that can give you an icky tummy if you're not from the area. And I'm the sort of person that will get an icky tummy from having foreign water, like I will. So the third time we went to Disneyland last September, I didn't drink it, but my boyfriend really wanted to, because water can be expensive in the parks and in the hotel. So we didn't drink it the third time. He was like, but everybody's drinking it. And I was like, no, we'll get an icky tummy. And I had heard that it was okay to drink, but I thought, well, no, I'll still get a tummy like ache. But this time, Matthew, my boyfriend, was like, I'm drinking it. It's so much cheaper. It's free than buying like €3 little water and stuff. So I was like, okay, you drink it, but I'm not drinking it. And then Jamie and Beth, who we were with, they were drinking it as well, and they were fine. So I was like, you know what it is, right? I'll try one bottle of water, and if I get an icky tummy straight away, then no more. But I drank it, and I was fine, and I drank it for the rest of the trip as well. So I recommend the water in the parks. It's free. Take a bottle, fill it up. They're all over the park. I kind of know where they are now because I've used so many of them. I'm pretty sure they're on the map as well. They are like quite commonly around the park, normally at like toilet spots and things like that. So take a bottle and fill up your water for free at the fountains. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to get a bad stomach, but I am like the most sensitive person in the world to like bad stomachs and stuff like that. And I drank that water like no tomorrow on the first day, just after lunchtime when I gave in. And I was fine. So if I can drink it, then you can drink it, and that will save you a lot of money. And make sure you fill it up as well to go back to the hotel on a night, so then you're not having to buy water in the hotel. So that was all 15 of my Disneyland Paris trips. I hope that helped you. Those are definitely things that I've learned. Some are like common knowledge now, but I just thought I'd mention them for any like really newbies that don't know what like a Fastpass and stuff is. But yeah, like some people don't know about the water fountains and things like that. So I hope that helped you. I've definitely learned a lot in the last 2 times I've learned a lot more now that I'm a bit older. And hopefully I'll continue to learn more. Hopefully I'll get to go to Disney World one day and do like a tips like video on that as well. But yeah, I hope these tips help you out. Please let me know if you have any more questions below, and I will answer them the best I can. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I like to think I've learned a lot in the 4 times I've been. So I hope that video helps someone. I'm going to stop blabbing, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!